Y'all know I love a good map, but it's really interesting when you start with not only a map of the world, but a solar system map in a book. I feel like that's going to be a good sign. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Spirits Entwined by Theresa Biehle. This is book one in the Legend of Galleon, and this is a YA kind of adventure, kind of fantasy here that's doing some unique twists on some things that we've seen before, and we'll talk through here. So I showed in the intro the solar system map. That is kind of the first thing that really I'm like, ooh, what's going on here? Because we do have a really interesting set of not just one world, but there are multiple worlds here and ways to travel between them. And the setup of the magic too that we see, where it's the magic system is really based on study essentially, and the more that you study and understand how something works, the more you can then do and manipulate it with magic. So like literally understanding like the molecular structure of a rock might let you change the rock, make a hole in it or do things like that. So it's really an interesting look at science and study being super relevant for magic, as well as kind of the different worlds, like I said too, and the settings that we take a look at. I thought were really interesting, and it's something that really pulled me in. Something else interesting that this book does too is we start out the main character Kylie and our two main characters are Kylie and Maury, who are both younger, they're teenagers. And they are both working in a library, and Kylie specifically is supposed to memorize different books from the library essentially, is what we're told. But then she's given this book of legends, and we never specifically see her actually really reading the legends for the most part. Actually, that's a lie because we do later. But anyway, so we do get some of the legends that are read, but we get in like kind of like epigraphs at the beginning. We get these little excerpts from these legends that are really interesting. And for me, I really liked the style that it was written in. It was a little bit more elevated prose-wise with the style here, and had me really interested to know like what's the full story behind some of these legends. And some of them end up being quite relevant to things that are actually going on later, and some of them just are just really cool to read. So that was something I thought was a really cool way to go about this. Now, so those are a lot of things that I liked, and unfortunately, the big thing that I didn't care for is just the writing style overall, because this is very YA, and it's not bad YA, and it's not bad in general. It's just not really my kind of style, and so that was something that I struggled with a little bit. Where my personal taste, I would have liked to explore more of the magic in the world, and have a little bit more like of the a little bit more elevated prose, a little less straightforward kind of thing. And that's just not the choice that the author has made here. And it's very clear, like I said, there are some elevated portions, and like with some of the other writings, where it's written in a little bit of a different style for the effect there as well. But it's the conscious choice the author's made to write it in a pretty straightforward and just more simple style, which I totally get. When you're writing for a younger audience, you want to make sure that it is easy to read and get through, and this book certainly is. So not to say at all that it's bad, it's just not quite my style. And with this as well, there's a lot of interesting things going on. Like I said, a lot of things that did capture my interest and my imagination, but things just felt a little bit too streamlined for me. And I feel like that kind of kept me from getting as interested in the characters on their journey as well, because it feels like we move very very quickly. And there are some things that happen specifically like with the character where we don't dwell on something that you would expect. For example, our main character Kylie, who has some interesting things going on with her parentage, and her father's disappeared, and right away, pretty much, you see him come back, and instead of like it being this whole thing, there are reasons for what was happening, and we just kind of like, okay, yep, that's fine, I accept that and move on. And there were some other times too where we're kind of told one thing, and then characters just are able to change the way they see something immediately. It's not really dwelt on, and so some of it felt a little bit too streamlined for me, that like things are moving this quickly, things are changing, everybody's just changes their mind this quickly. And so once again, I get why. It's so that we can move and set this up and establish and keep moving on, because there's a lot more we're going, and this is very fast paced. But it's those kinds of things that just with my personal taste, I like to delve a lot more into into what's going on and into the things that are going to change and see why characters might change. This also, though, is using some of the kind of chosen one tropes, but in a super interesting way, though, is something that I'll say as well, too. And it's things don't quite go as you're expecting, which I think is interesting. And then we have our two characters doing some very different things as well. We have seers, we have these old legends from many, many years ago, and the people you think are good, the people you think are bad might not necessarily be the thing, which is kind of like I said, I talked about. And I feel like sometimes when we find out more, we find out something wasn't what we thought, which is something I like and I think is done well here. Sometimes it just seems like we move on from that really quickly. So a lot of things here where I think there is a lot to enjoy and there's a lot to like here. It captured my interest very quickly. It's just stylistically is, I think, not for me and not what I was looking for at the time as well. I think if you enjoy, not even necessarily YA, but if you like fast-paced, simple to read, people who don't like the more complex or more elevated prose, you want something simple, you want something fast-paced, this is a good option here. This is the first book, and the second book, Spirits Calling, I think. I can just look instead of guessing. Stars Calling. That sounded wrong. That's why I wanted to check. Is out as well. So I think if you like fast-paced, here this is doing a lot of interesting things. It's just stylistically, it's not really for me. But it's still a book that I think has a lot of promise and shows that the author, I think, has a lot of really cool ideas that they're working with as well. It's just one of those things. If you like this style, I think this is definitely worth checking out for sure. That's it, though, for this one. Those are my thoughts on The Spirits Entwined by Theresa Biehle. Let me know your thoughts on this kind of thing, or just with style like that, too. Do you prefer, fast-paced, straightforward, that kind of thing, or do you like some more of the slow things? Because I know I have both in my audience. I definitely know a lot of people, what I like, and I like that, but I know for a fact I have people who do are more suited to this kind of thing than I am as well with the style, and who really like a lot of stories like that are popular that I'm not the hugest fan of. So always interested to hear what your thoughts are on that kind of thing as well in the comments. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description, as always, for the Wizardly Enclave Discord if you want to chat books, whether this book, other books, really anything at all. It's a lot of fun and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you're enjoying my content, make sure to subscribe.